weather forecast. From the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, sunny and pleasant with a high of 77. Clear to partly cloudy, 58 overnight. Currently 63. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Make sure to check out the Income Store live video stream of today's show right now at 560theanswer.com.
Listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and you hear from the guy in charge right now, not just from the 10 who would like to be in charge, the first 10 who would like to be in charge last night. President Trump yesterday, in addition to tackling the cultural controversy du jour, Baltimore, he also addressed China as trade negotiations are set to pick up again in earnest, and the news wasn't so encouraging.
I will say that the farmers are very grateful. The most they've ever spent on agricultural products is $16 billion. So when they pulled out, I took just a small part of the money that China's paying us, and I gave it toward the farmers, and the farmers are very happy.
Yeah, the farmers are, I guess, content for now, but despite Trump arguing that China is being hurt more by the trade impasse than we are, which is true, both sides are being hurt, and he was not particularly sanguine yesterday, as he has been previously, about actually getting a deal done with the Chinese. So why don't we start there with our friend Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, author of the book Trumponomics, Inside the America First Plan to Revive Our Economy. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Hi, good morning.
Morning. So what about the state of negotiations? And I know this is an up and down on a weekly basis, but it's that important. Where does it stand?
Well, there's a lot of frustration at the White House. You could hear it in Donald Trump's voice yesterday, and in his tweets. He's getting very frustrated. The Chinese are not being very cooperative here. They make a deal one day, and then the next day they walk it back. And I talked to our trade negotiators. It's just really difficult to pin the Chinese down. One of the big issues, obviously, has been the theft of our intellectual property at the tune of $300 billion a year, and they still don't even acknowledge that they're doing it. So, the first step of recovery is to acknowledge you have a problem, and the Chinese won't even do that. So it's stymied right now at the current moment, but, there was a big article last week in the Wall Street Journal about how China's economy has been hit very hard by these tariffs. That will hopefully drive the Beijing government to the negotiating table and get this thing done. I mean, they don't need to get a great deal. They just need to get a deal now, that will move the ball forward. This isn't going to get. This is going to be an epic battle that goes on for years and years. But right now there's a lot of frustration, and I think Trump is using this talk about, well, maybe we'll just keep these tariffs in place until after the election as a kind of negotiating tool. I still believe at the end of the day they're going to get a deal before the end of this year.
Yeah, but do you honestly think that there ever will be a deal done?
Sorry?
Do you ever think that, do you honestly think that they're going to reach a deal?
I do. I mean, look, it's in both nations' interest to get this done, right? They're both being kind of stubborn right now, especially the Chinese. Now, look, Trump made this point yesterday, and there's a lot of truth to this. I've warned about this on your radio show, Amy, that, the Beijing government, President Xi doesn't have to face voters, right? He doesn't have an election in November of 2020. Trump does. And Trump made a very good point, which is absolutely true, that who do you think that the Chinese would rather negotiate with? Donald Trump or Joe Biden? And Joe Biden's a patsy when it comes to China. He's been an apologist for China. So, they may think, well, we'll just wait out Trump. He may lose the election in 2020, and then we'll get to deal with one of these, Democrats that was on the stage that doesn't have the backbone to stand up to China. So I think there's a lot of thought in the Beijing government that we'll just wait Trump out, and that's that would be harmful for Trump, because I do think he needs to get a deal done. I think if he gets this deal done, because by the way, later today the Fed is going to lower interest rates. That's something I've been agitating for 9 months now. They're finally taking my advice and they're going to lower rates. That's going to be a good thing for the economy. It's on top of the lowering of the rates, they can get a trade deal done with China. And I think Trump is home free in 2020. I think you'll see 3% growth. You'll see additional job growth, and people will feel good about the economy. Look, Trump is probably still going to win even if he doesn't get a deal done with China, but getting the deal done will certainly enhance his reelection prospects.
Speaking of the election, so last night's debate, you on the issue that is a particular focus of yours, energy policy. You heard Mayor Pete and the whole gang, including the septuagenarian socialists, Bernie and Liz, talking about the end being near. The point of past return is nearly upon us because of climate change. And the range was everything from the Green New Deal to Tim Ryan wanting to farm out union workers that are in the fossil fuel sectors now to wind farms and solar panel facilities. Your reaction to what they all had to say?
Well, for Trump to win the election, the Democrats just have to be on the stage every night for the next, 14 months. I mean, every time they take the stage, Trump's reelection, chances go way up. I mean, they are talking a lot of craziness, a lot of interventions in the economy that will make things worse. In fact, I was trying to think, watching a little bit of the debate and the previous ones, trying to think if I could think of one good idea, one good idea the Democrats have. And it's all minimum wage or income redistribution, tax the rich, take from this person, give to that person. I'm scratching my head. Is there any good idea that would actually help the American economy, help create jobs, help the American economy continue to be number one in the world? Then maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. Did you hear any good ideas out of the Democrats last night?
The only adult on the stage that was not asking questions was responding to them. John Delaney, the former Maryland congressman.
Yes.
He's the best that you had in terms of a respect for a market economy, and
Yep.
his biggest idea was increasing the capital gains tax. So I mean, even with respect to they're railing against he's railing against deindustrialization of the economy and removal of private health insurance. But even he just has a different way to pursue anti-growth policies.
It's sad because I would say out of all the 20 that are running, Delaney would probably be the one that I would favor.
Right. He's the least worst.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
At least he's not completely, socialistic. But you're right. I mean, his two big proposals: one, raise the capital gains tax, and the other thing is he wants mandatory, service for 18-year-olds, either in the military or in social programs. It's like we're going to create the Hitler Youth or something. I mean, they all want more government power over the economy and over our lives.
And eliminating student loan debt. I mean,
well, there was one moment. Bobby O'Rourke, of all people,
Beto,
he spoke against tariffs. Now, I think he spoke against tariffs just because he doesn't want to make anybody unhappy. But nonetheless, he did speak against tariffs, which are taxes, which are anti-growth.
What's interesting is I saw that moment too, and many of the Democrats have actually spoken out against the tariffs, and a lot of liberals are. And wait a minute, these are the people who want to raise income taxes, sales taxes, gas taxes, this tax. Hey, do they understand that a tariff is a tax? I thought they loved taxes.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, I'm not a tariff guy. I don't like tariffs, and I wish there was some other way to get the Chinese to cooperate. But I really think it's sad. I really do. I think, why doesn't one of them really make a speech saying, look, this is a market-based economy. The reason that we're the richest country in the world today is because we have a free market. And all the rest of you are talking about, going back to a system like European socialism. I mean, Europe is not growing. They've had no job growth. They've had no economic growth for the last number of years. Even Sweden is moving away from socialism at the same time they're running for it. I would say this, that if you had imagine for a moment, okay, this is a thought experiment. Imagine you had a John F. Kennedy or a Bill Clinton, even a Bill Clinton on that stage. They would be laughed off the stage. John F. Kennedy talking about cutting taxes, about strong national defense, about being for free trade, all of these things. Or Bill Clinton saying the era of big government is over, and we're going to reform welfare, we're going to get people into work off welfare. They would be pillaged by the rest of these people. So the left-wing takeover of the Democratic Party is a very, very sad thing. And I wish at least one of them would stand up to these socialists and say, we are not a socialist country, but they're afraid to. Because the party is run by MoveOn.org and the Sierra Club and all of these other left-wing groups that have pushed them over the cliff. And I meant what I said. Every time they are on the stage, Donald Trump's reelection prospects rise.
And then tonight we get to go through it all over again, Stephen Moore.
They have normalized Donald Trump.
They have. No, I believe that. And you're going to watch again tonight, right?
Oh, gosh.
It's like a bad movie we have to repeat.
If I have to. No. But I'll be looking. You guys, Dan, Amy, if you hear one good idea from them tonight, will you email me and tell me what it is?
I did hear one good idea yesterday, but
from Marianne Williamson.
Well, it's transcendental. It's not strictly limited to economics. It's
by the way,
it's holistic.
Did any of them? I didn't see the whole debate. Did any of them denounce this budget deal and the trillions of dollars of debt that we're amassing?
Weren't even asked about it.
They weren't even asked about it. They were not. No one talked about impeachment. No one talked about that.
That's unbelievable. I mean, that's where Trump is vulnerable, actually. He's not been fiscally conservative. And if I were a Democrat, I'd attack him for that. But they can't because they have $100 trillion of new spending they want to do.
All right. But I want to leave you with Marianne Williamson's gestalt. Here's the thing, Steve, and I want you to think about this for the rest of the day.
Okay.
Have you really contemplated what we could do if we harness the power of love? And I want you to think about that.